Greetings from my house. This is our new adult ed program finally up and running. I apologize for the delay. It took me about a week to sort of grapple with this new normal of being in isolation. And so we will, from here on out, be releasing an adult ed video on Sunday and on Wednesday. This week, because I'm behind, we're going to do one on today. We'll do one today on coins, which was last week's idea. And then I'll release a special one on Monday this week for shoes, which is next week. And then Wednesday, and then we'll be on our schedule of Sunday and Wednesday. I apologize again for the delay. We will continue to use the Jill Duffield Lent in Plain Sight book throughout Lent. If you have thoughts or questions or even ideas of other things that you might want us to cover, please comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. These videos will be in both places. There are links in the weekly e-news. And if that doesn't work, email me and I'll help you find them. But I assume since you're watching this, you've probably figured out at least a little bit of this new thing. And we will, my dad and I are going to do our best to accommodate, answer questions in a timely manner and so forth. As you all know, this book, or maybe not, this book is a devotional, which means it's got something every day. And I think for what we're going to do right now, instead of maybe doing a survey, is picking a text that spoke to us specifically. So this last week, we've been looking at coins. And I think my favorite lesson for the week was about the sparrows. It's from Matthew 10, verses 29 through 31. And here it goes. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. And even the hairs on your head are all counted. So do not be afraid. You are more valuable than many sparrows. So Jill goes on to talk about how we experience compassion fatigue, or we're easily overwhelmed, and we have a tendency to think that God may be as well, but that God is not overwhelmed by the things that we are overwhelmed with. God still cares, still counts the hairs on our head, is aware of everything that is going on in creation. And while there are lots of very challenging things to say about coins, and some of those are covered in the book, I thought, for me at least this week, I wanted the compassionate reminder to think about. So we, as humans, do not value sparrows particularly. According to this text, at the time, 2 sparrows were sold for a penny, but they are still valued to God, that God finds value differently and apart from us. Here is one of the thoughts from the book that I found to be helpful. This is on page 80 at the bottom. I cannot know and care on the scale that God knows and cares. I am a creature, but I, like all creatures, am valuable to God. Knowing that truth, recalling it daily, enables me to see other people, other animals, creation, through a gentler, more loving lens. God counts every hair on my head and on yours too. God delights in sparrows and squirrels and butterflies and worms. No portion of land or person, centimeter of earth or centipede is unseen by our God. All are knit together and known by their Creator. I found that to be a truly comforting idea. And the other thing I wanted to maybe connect today was Psalm 84 also talks about sparrows, and specifically sparrows' homes, which I found to mean a lot to me this week too, since we are all sort of stuck in our homes at the moment. So here is a portion of Psalm 84. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of hosts. My soul longs, indeed it faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh sing for joy to the living God. Even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow a nest for herself where she may lay her young at your altars, O Lord of hosts, my King and my God. Happy are those who live in your house, ever singing your praise. As we think about our houses, mine has been tumultuous this week at best. It has been very chaotic, and we're trying to figure out how to structure our time. I imagine other houses might feel extremely lonely and empty at this point. But regardless of the circumstances of your home, chaotic or isolated, your home is encompassed in God's house. We often think of God's house as the church, and it is difficult to be unable to get together in that building. But God's house is, in fact, the whole world, and that is what the psalm is about. How lovely is your dwelling place. Even the sparrow finds a place for her nest on God's altar. So our houses are part of this enormous world that God loves and has created and is continuing to create and continuing to knit together. And that, for me, was a comforting place. The idea that our chaos is not outside the bounds of God's love, and our anxiety and confusion and concern is not beyond what God can handle or what God can hear about. So if you find yourself praying the same prayer over and over again, fear not, God is listening, and God has a plan, and God's love will conquer all. So that is our thought for this week. Please feel free to respond in the comments with questions, or maybe you liked a different day better. We would love to hear from you, and I will see you tomorrow to talk about shoes. Thanks.